So what if there was one single idea that connected, well, everything, from the laws of physics to the human mind, all the way to the future of artificial intelligence? Today we're digging into a philosophy that claims to be a blueprint for reality itself. And it all kicks off with a really strange question.
I want you to picture a glass. It slips, it falls, and it shatters into a million tiny pieces. Now, we'd all call that chaos, right? The absolute peak of disorder. But what if from the universe's perspective, the exact opposite were true? What if that pile of broken glass is actually—
And seriously, that's not just a riddle. It's the key that unlocks this entire way of thinking. This one little paradox shows that order isn't a single thing. It's actually two completely different concepts, and they're in a constant battle.
And that brings us to a tale of two different kinds of order.
Okay, so this is the core conflict right here. On one side, you've got universal order. The universe, it doesn't care if something is pretty or useful. It only cares about what's most probable, what's most stable. A shattered glass is just a more likely, lower energy way for those atoms to exist. But then on the other side, you've got our view, conceptual order. We see order in things that make sense to us, things that serve a purpose. A whole glass can hold water, so for us, that's what's ordered.
So let's nail this down. Absolute entropy is the universe's definition of order. It has nothing to do with our idea of neatness. It's just physics, pushing everything towards its most likely state. Think about how a hot cup of coffee always cools down to room temperature. It doesn't heat up because that's less probable. From this point of view, that shattered glass isn't a mess. It's mission accomplished.
And then there's relativistic entropy. This is the order we create. It's the order you find in our ideas, in our tools, in our language. That functional shape of a glass, the rules of grammar in a sentence, the blueprint for a skyscraper. That's the kind of order that matters to us. It's the order we literally fight against the universe to build and protect.
Now, this might sound like just a clever philosophical trick, but according to this theory, this whole duality is actually baked into the fundamental laws of physics. This is where we get to the physics of meaning itself. This right here is the absolute heart of the whole idea. It claims that the physical law that makes a river find the most efficient, lazy path down a mountain is the exact same law that drives any system to find its most stable, ordered informational state. It's saying that physics and information aren't just similar, they're two languages describing the same universal force.
So here's how the logic is supposed to stack up. First, we all know physical systems take the path of least resistance. A ball rolls downhill, not up. Easy enough. Second, we can see that systems of information, like ideas or patterns, tend to settle into their most organized form. But the huge leap is step 3. This theory claims these two principles aren't just alike. They are one and the same. A physically stable object is, by definition, an ordered piece of information.
Okay, a universal law is great, but what does it mean for us, for you and me? Let's see how this incredible drive for order is supposed to play out inside the human mind.
To explore this, the author introduces a new term, noetology, which is defined as the science of how we perceive reality. You can just think of it as the study of how our brains build concepts, how we take all the raw, messy data from the world and create those neat little pockets of order, what we were calling relativistic entropy a minute ago.
So this philosophy breaks down our consciousness into a kind of system. You've got the self, which is your gut instinct, your emotions. Then you've got the mind, which is your rational, logical side. Your will is the part that has to constantly choose between what the self wants and what the mind thinks. But the real powerhouse here, the engine of it all, is creativity. Our ability to forge brand new concepts and literally expand our ordered world.
So, if that's how one mind works, how do you scale it up to millions of people? If creating conceptual order is the main goal, what would a society built on that principle even look like?
The ethical starting point for this society is a really powerful idea. Written here in Arabic, limited prosperity is injustice. The logic is, if a society's whole purpose is to create order and meaning, then it has to maximize well-being and opportunity for everyone. Any system that puts an artificial cap on that is,
by this definition, unjust.
So how do you actually do that? The proposed answer is a governing style called ethical pragmatism. You know that classic political dilemma where you have to choose between sticking to your ideals and actually getting things done? This model says that's a false choice. It's about being incredibly effective and practical, but operating within a strict moral framework that you can never, ever cross.
And the theory even lays out a concrete structure. You've got a consultative council, or shura, which draws on a tradition of Islamic governance, alongside things we'd expect, like an independent judiciary. But look at what's listed as a core pillar: research and development, making the creation of new knowledge a fundamental part of the state. That shows you just how deep this idea of creating order really goes.
And now we've reached the final piece of this grand puzzle. This is where everything we've talked about, from physics to politics, all converges on one of the biggest topics of our time: designing artificial intelligence.
This all leads to what the author calls digital philosophy. From this perspective, AI isn't just another clever tool. It's the ultimate expression of humanity's drive to create order. It's described as nothing less than the interface of civilized humanity, built to help us manage the entire conceptual universe we've created.
The theory even lays out a specific roadmap for this AI. It's not just one big program, it's a whole ecosystem. There's one layer for solving tough analytical problems, another for handling digital governance, and another for social and business stuff. But the really wild part is OpenDC, a core intelligence designed to act as a kind of global intuition, coordinating all the other parts and making sure they're working toward the same goal.
So, when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. According to this blueprint, all of human civilization, every piece of art, every scientific discovery, every law, every line of code, is part of one enormous project. It's all just one big attempt to build these fragile islands of meaning in a universe that plays by a completely different set of rules.
Which leaves us with a final massive question to chew on. Is everything we do, is all of human progress, from the very first sharpened stone to the most advanced AI we can imagine, simply a struggle to create meaning in a universe that defines order in a totally different way? It's a heck of an idea to think about. Thanks for joining us.